The sun was setting slowly, painting the small town streets in shades of gold. In one corner of the neighborhood lived an old veteran named Amir. His house was small, the paint faded, and the roof needed fixing. But it was his only place, and he loved it deeply because every brick carried his memories. Amir was not rich. His life after returning from service was full of struggles. He lived on a small pension, enough to buy food and pay bills, but not enough for comfort. Most days he spent sitting on his porch, drinking tea and thinking of the days when he wore his uniform with pride. The neighbors often passed by, some with respect in their eyes, but others with judgment. Many people in the area were businessmen, property dealers, and shop owners. They valued wealth more than kindness, and for them, Amir was just an old man who had nothing. One evening, as Amir sat quietly, 3 men came to his gate. They were well dressed, wearing shiny shoes and speaking loudly as if they owned the street. The leader, a man named Rashid, looked at Amir with a cold smile. "Old man," Rashid said, "your land papers are not clear. You still owe money. $10,000. Pay it, or you will lose this house." Amir felt his heart sink. 10,000, he whispered. His hands trembled as he held his teacup. "I don't have such money. This house is all I have. I served this country." "How can you?" But Rashid cut him off. "Service doesn't pay bills, veteran. You have 1 week. Bring the money, or we take the house." The men laughed lightly and walked away, leaving Amir in silence. That night, Amir could not sleep. He kept staring at the ceiling, remembering the promises made to him long ago that veterans would always be respected, that their sacrifices would not be forgotten. Yet here he was, threatened in his own home. In the morning, he walked slowly to the market. Every step felt heavy. He stopped at the bakery, where a kind woman named Sophia greeted him. "Amir uncle, you look worried. Is everything all right?" she asked. Amir smiled faintly. "Nothing is all right, child. They want $10,000 from me. If I don't pay, I lose my house." Sophia's eyes filled with shock. "But you can't pay that. Everyone knows you live simply. This is unfair." Amir nodded, but said no more. He didn't want pity. He only wanted peace. As he walked back, a group of children ran past him, laughing. One of them stopped and saluted him playfully. "Captain Amir," the boy shouted. Amir chuckled softly, though his heart was still heavy. Children remembered him as a hero, but adults saw him as weak. That evening, Amir sat again on his porch, looking at the sky. He thought of the battles he fought, the friends he lost, and the nights he spent hungry but hopeful. He whispered to himself, "I faced worse storms. I will face this too." Unknown to him, the next few days would change his life forever. Fate was quietly preparing a moment that would shock the whole neighborhood. The week passed slowly, and each day Amir carried the same heavy thought: how can I save my house? His small pension barely covered food and medicine. $10,000 was like a mountain before him. Rashid and his men did not let him forget. They walked by his house often, their voices loud, making sure the neighbors heard. "1 week, old man. Don't hide when the time comes." They wanted to humiliate him, to break his spirit before they even touched his house. But Amir was not a man who broke easily. He had seen darker days, days when the ground shook from bombs and nights when fear lived in every breath. Compared to that, this was only another battle. Still, his heart ached because this battle was not fought for his country, it was for his shelter. On the 4th day, Amir decided to clean his storeroom. Dust had gathered on old boxes, and cobwebs filled the corners. As he moved things around, he opened a wooden trunk that had belonged to his father. Inside were yellow papers, some torn, some folded neatly. Among them, one envelope looked different. Curious, Amir opened it. His eyes widened as he read the first lines. These were land ownership documents not only for his small house, but also for several empty plots around the neighborhood. The name written was his father's, and under it, his own name was listed as heir. Amir sat down slowly, his hands shaking. He could hardly believe it. His father had bought land many years ago when it was cheap and unused. Over time, the neighborhood had grown, shops were built, houses were raised, but no one remembered the original owner. Now the papers in his hand proved that large parts of the area still belonged to him. His heart began to race. If these papers were real, then not only was his house safe, but he also owned property worth far more than the 10,000 Rashid demanded. But doubts filled his mind. Are these valid? Will anyone believe me? Or will they call them fake? The next morning, Amir went to the town office. The clerk, a young man named Bilal, checked the papers carefully. His eyes grew wide as he confirmed the truth. Sir, these documents are original. Your father's name is in the old records, and your inheritance is listed here. These plots are legally yours. Amir's lips trembled. You mean? I own them. Bilal smiled. Yes, uncle. You own more land here than anyone else. Half this neighborhood stands on your father's property. People must have forgotten, but the records don't lie. Tears filled Amir's eyes. All those years of living poor, never knowing that hidden in his home was a fortune. He whispered, Father, you saved me once again. That evening, Rashid returned with his men. They stood proudly in front of Amir's gate, expecting to see fear. Old man, the week is almost over. Do you have the money? Rashid asked with a cruel grin. Amir looked at them calmly, no fear in his eyes. I don't owe you anything, he said softly. This house is mine. And much more than this street is mine too. The men laughed loudly. Listen to him. He thinks he owns more than this broken house. But Amir did not answer. Instead, he lifted the folder of documents in his hand. Tomorrow, the town office will make an announcement. You will learn whose land you are walking on. For the first time, Rashid's smile faded. He stepped closer. What are you saying? Amir's voice grew firm. I am saying, Rashid, that the ground you stand on does not belong to you. It belongs to me. The men exchanged uneasy looks. They could not tell if Amir was bluffing or speaking the truth. That night, the neighborhood was buzzing. News spread quickly: the poor veteran owns land. The old man has proof. Half the area belongs to him. Some people laughed at the rumor, others were nervous. Businessmen whispered among themselves, worried about what might happen if Amir's claim was real. Amir sat on his porch under the quiet stars, his heart filled with both relief and fear. He had found the hidden strength of his past, but he knew storms were still ahead. Rashid and his men would not give up easily. Yet, for the first time in years, Amir felt something warm inside him. It was not money, not victory, but dignity. He was no longer just a poor veteran in the eyes of others. He was a man who still had power, given to him by his father's foresight. He closed his eyes and whispered, tomorrow will be different. Morning arrived with a strange energy in the neighborhood. Shopkeepers opened their stores early, but their eyes were not on customers. They were waiting for news. Children whispered to each other, repeating what they had heard at home, Uncle Amir owns the land. Uncle Amir is rich now. Amir himself walked slowly to the town office, holding the folder of papers close to his chest. His steps were steady, but inside he carried both fear and hope. He was not afraid of losing any more, but he knew many people would not accept the truth easily. At the office, Clerk Bilal greeted him warmly. Uncle, don't worry. We checked everything twice. These documents are real. Today, we will announce it officially. By midday, a small crowd gathered near the notice board outside the office. People pressed forward, curious to see. Rashid and his men stood at the front, their faces stiff but pretending to be calm. Then the officer stepped out with the file. He cleared his throat and spoke loudly so everyone could hear. According to our records, the properties listed under the late Mr. Karim have passed legally to his son, Mr. Amir. These include several plots of land and spaces currently part of this neighborhood. All claims are valid. Any business or residence standing on this land must recognize Mr. Amir as the rightful owner. For a moment, silence covered the street. People blinked, as if they had not heard correctly. Then whispers grew into loud talk. He really owns it? The poor veteran. Half our street belongs to him. Rashid's face turned pale, though he tried to laugh. This must be a mistake. How can that old man own what we built? But the officer looked at him firmly. It is no mistake. The documents are old but original, and the records are clear. If anyone doubts, they may bring legal proof. Until then, Mr. Amir is the owner. Amir stood quietly among the people, his hands folded behind his back. He did not shout, he did not boast. He only nodded with dignity. In that moment, the same neighbors who once pitied him now looked at him with respect. Some of them came forward to congratulate him. Sophia, the baker, wiped her eyes with her apron. I knew, uncle, I knew you would not be left alone. God has rewarded your patience. But others were nervous. Shopkeepers whose stores stood on Amir's inherited plots whispered anxiously. What if he asks us to leave? What if he raises rent? They had treated him like a nobody, and now they feared his power. Rashid, however, could not stay silent. He stepped toward Amir, pointing a finger. Listen here, old man. Don't think this changes everything. Paper is paper. We built this place. Without us, your land is useless. Amir looked him in the eye, calm but firm. And without this land, your buildings are nothing. The crowd murmured at his words. For the first time, Rashid found himself cornered. His pride could not hide his worry anymore. That evening, Amir returned home. He sat on his porch as usual, but this time, neighbors passed by with nods of respect. Children waved, calling him Uncle Amir, the landlord. The same walls that once felt like a burden now felt like a crown. Yet inside, Amir's heart was heavy with responsibility. Owning half the neighborhood was not just wealth, it was a duty. He knew greed could destroy him if he let it rule. He remembered his father's voice long ago, son, land is not just soil. It is trust. Never use it to harm, only to protect. That night, as he prepared for sleep, Amir whispered, Father, I will honor your trust. But while Amir's heart was peaceful, Rashid's mind was burning. He gathered his men in a dark corner of the street. This old veteran thinks he can humiliate me, Rashid hissed. If he owns the land, then every shopkeeper will bow to him. Do you think I will allow that? No. We will find a way to push him down. Papers or no papers, I will not let him rule. The men nodded, though uneasily. Rashid's pride was wounded, and he was not ready to lose. Meanwhile, Amir slept with the folder under his pillow, not as a treasure, but as a shield. He had no idea that the real battle was only beginning, the battle not of land, but of character. Would wealth change how people treated him? Would it change who he was? For now, though, the poor veteran who once feared losing his home had become the silent owner of half the neighborhood. And the story of his hidden inheritance spread like fire across the town. The days after the announcement felt like a dream for Amir. The man who once sat quietly on his porch, ignored by many, was now greeted with respect wherever he went. Shopkeepers bowed their heads politely, children ran to him with smiles, and elders came to shake his hand. But with respect came something else: requests. "Uncle Amir," said one shopkeeper, "please don't raise the rent on us. We are simple workers." Another came to him the next day. "Sir, we want to expand our shop. Since the land is yours, could you give us permission?" Even families living in small houses built on his plots came forward with folded hands, afraid he might evict them. Their voices carried fear: "We have nowhere else to go. Please let us stay." Amir listened to each person patiently. His heart was soft, and he remembered the struggles he had faced. He said kindly, "Don't be afraid. I will not throw anyone out. I was poor once too. I know what it feels like. You can stay, and no one's roof will be taken away." His words spread through the neighborhood, and people felt relief. They began to admire him not just as a landowner, but as a man of fairness. Still, Amir knew he must act wisely. He could not let people take advantage of his kindness. So, he visited Bilal, the clerk at the office, for guidance. "Uncle," Bilal said, "you have a chance to bring good change here. Use your land to help, but also protect your rights. People will try to take advantage of your silence. Be fair, but be firm." Amir nodded thoughtfully. He was not used to power, but he wanted to handle it with dignity. Meanwhile, Rashid grew restless. Every day he watched people turning toward Amir, speaking with respect, even laughing with him. Rashid's pride burned like fire. His business was built on control and fear, but now that control was slipping away. One evening, Rashid visited Amir's house, forcing a smile. "Brother Amir," he said smoothly, "congratulations on your new position. You know, we can work together. I have experience in business, and you have land. If we join hands, we will both benefit." Amir studied him quietly. He saw the greed in Rashid's eyes. He remembered the same man standing at his gate, demanding $10,000 without mercy. "Rashid," Amir said gently but firmly, "I don't need partnerships built on pride. I don't want wealth that costs peace. My land is not for games. It is for shelter, for fairness. I thank you, but no." Rashid's smile froze, and for a moment his eyes turned cold. "Think carefully, old man. Alone, you cannot handle everything. But with me, you can be stronger." Amir shook his head. "Strength is not in numbers or money. It is in truth." Rashid left, his jaw tight. The rejection felt like a wound to his ego. In the following days, Rashid began to spread whispers. "Amir is just an old man. What does he know about managing land? Soon he will be fooled, and everything will collapse." Some people believed Rashid, but most had seen Amir's honesty and stood with him. Still, the rumors made Amir thoughtful. He knew Rashid would not stop so easily. That night, as Amir sat on his porch under the stars, Sophia, the baker, came with bread for him. "You have changed everything here, uncle," she said with a smile. "People feel safe because of you. Don't let Rashid trouble your heart. The truth is stronger than his lies." Amir smiled warmly. "Child, respect and trust are heavier than gold. I must carry them carefully. I only pray I don't fail the people who now look to me." As Sophia walked away, Amir closed his eyes and remembered his father's words once more: "Land is trust, not power." But deep inside, he also knew, Rashid's pride was not defeated, only silent for now. A storm was waiting, and Amir would need more than papers to protect what was his. He would need courage, patience, and wisdom greater than ever before. The poor veteran had won the first battle, but the real test of his heart was just beginning. The neighborhood was slowly adjusting to the new truth: Amir, the quiet veteran, was now the largest landowner in the area. People who once ignored him now came to him for advice, and many looked at him with admiration. But not everyone was happy. Rashid, who had built his pride on power, could not accept his fall. Day by day, he felt his influence slipping away. The shopkeepers who once bowed to him now looked to Amir for fairness. Even the children, who used to greet him with respect, now ran past him to salute Uncle Amir. One afternoon, Rashid gathered his closest friends in his office. He spoke with bitterness. This old veteran is ruining everything. If people start trusting him, my business will fall apart. We must do something before it is too late. One of his men asked, "But what can we do? The documents are real. Everyone knows the land is his." Rashid leaned forward. "Documents can be challenged. If we bring a lawyer and create confusion, people will doubt him. And if people doubt, their respect will fade. That is how we win." The plan was set. Within a week, rumors spread again, "Amir's papers are fake. The land is not his. Soon the court will prove it." Some neighbors grew uneasy. They had just begun to feel safe under Amir's ownership, and now their hearts filled with fear once more. Amir heard these whispers as he walked to the market. He did not answer them, but his heart grew heavy. He knew Rashid was behind it. That evening, Bilal, the young clerk, came to visit him. "Uncle, don't worry," he said firmly. "Your papers are strong. Rashid is only trying to scare people. The law is with you. But you must stand tall, or his lies will spread." Amir nodded. He was tired, but he also remembered the strength he had shown in the past. He told himself, "This is not the battlefield of guns, but of patience. I must not lose." The next day, Rashid made his move. He called a gathering in the street, inviting shopkeepers and families. Standing on a wooden box, he shouted, "Friends, we must open our eyes. This old man has tricked us. His papers are nothing but old dust. Soon the court will prove it, and you will all see that I was right. Do not be fooled." The crowd murmured. Some looked worried, others angry. Rashid's loud voice shook their trust. At that moment, Amir stepped forward. His walk was slow, but his presence was calm. The crowd turned to look at him. He raised his hand gently, asking for silence. "My brothers and sisters," Amir said softly, "I have nothing to hide. The land papers are in the office for anyone to see. They are not mine by trick, but by inheritance from my father. If anyone doubts, let them read the records themselves. I am not here to fight. I am here to protect what was left in my care." His voice was not loud, but it carried honesty. The people felt it. A woman in the crowd spoke, "We believe you, uncle. You never lied to us." Others nodded. The fear that Rashid tried to plant began to weaken. Rashid, however, could not control his anger. "Do not trust him. He is nothing but an old man with stories of the past. What does he know of managing land? What can he give you?" Amir turned to him calmly. "Respect, Rashid. I can give them respect. And that is more than money or fear." The words struck deep. The crowd cheered softly, some even clapping. Rashid's face turned red with frustration. He left in silence, but inside he was boiling with rage. That night, Amir sat alone, looking at the stars. He thought about the challenge he faced. It was not just about land anymore, it was about trust. Could he protect the people's faith in him, even against lies and schemes? He whispered to himself, "I was once a soldier for my country. Now I must be a soldier for truth." Far away, in his own house, Rashid sat with his men, his pride burning. "This is not over," he muttered. "If honesty is his weapon, then I will strike with greed. Let us see how long he can stand." The stage was set for a bigger clash, one that would test not just Amir's rights, but also his patience, his wisdom, and the respect he had earned from the neighborhood. The poor veteran had faced bullets in the past, but now he faced shadows, whispers, doubts, and greed. And he knew, sometimes, shadows could be harder to fight than war itself. The following weeks tested Amir's patience more than any battlefield ever had. Every day he heard new rumors about his land. Some people whispered that Amir would soon sell everything and leave. Others said the court had already rejected his documents, even though no such thing had happened. Rashid was behind it all. He paid men to spread these lies, hoping the neighborhood would lose faith in Amir. Once people doubt him, Rashid told his men, "They will come back to me." Respect is fragile. Break it once, and it never returns. But Amir did not let anger guide him. He remembered his days as a soldier. On the battlefield, rushing in anger could cost lives. Patience and strategy always won in the end. One evening, as Amir sat on his porch, Sophia came to him carrying fresh bread. "Uncle," she said with concern, "people are worried again. Rashid is telling them you will take their homes. Some are afraid. They need to hear from you." Amir nodded slowly. "Yes, child. Fear is growing, and fear is stronger than truth if we let it spread. It is time I speak clearly." The next morning, Amir called for a gathering in the open square of the neighborhood. News spread quickly, and soon dozens of people stood around, waiting. Some came with trust in their eyes, others with worry. Rashid stood at the back, arms crossed, pretending not to care, but his ears were sharp. Amir stepped forward, leaning on his cane. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. "My friends," he began, "I was once a soldier who carried a rifle. Today, I carry papers. Both are heavy, but in different ways. I want you to know this: I will never take your homes. I will never demand money you cannot give. This land was given to me not for greed, but for trust. I am its caretaker, not its master." A murmur of relief spread through the crowd. Families nodded, some even smiling. Amir continued, "But I must also be clear. I will not allow lies to divide us. Anyone who doubts my documents may go to the town office. The truth is written there, not in the whispers of the street. I ask only one thing in return: respect for each other, and for the truth." His words touched hearts. The fear that Rashid tried to build began to melt away. Some shopkeepers even called out, "We trust you, Uncle Amir." Others clapped softly, their respect returning stronger than before. But Amir was not finished. He raised his hand once more. "I will also make a decision today," he said. "This land is more than paper. It is life for all of us. So I will form a council of neighbors. Together, we will decide how the land is managed. No one man should carry all the power, not even me. We will share this responsibility." The crowd buzzed with surprise. A council? Such fairness was rare in their town. Sophia's eyes filled with admiration. "Uncle, this is wisdom," she whispered. Even Rashid was caught off guard. He had expected Amir to use his ownership for control, but instead Amir was giving power back to the people. This made Rashid's plan harder, because lies could not survive where trust was shared. Later that evening, as Amir returned home, Bilal from the office came running. "Uncle, what you did today was remarkable. By sharing power, you have made it almost impossible for Rashid to break you. The people will stand with you now, not against you." Amir smiled gently. Power kept in one hand is weak. Power shared with honest hearts becomes strong. I learned that in the army. A soldier alone is nothing, but together, a unit is unbreakable. Yet even as he spoke those words, Amir knew Rashid would not stop. Pride does not die quickly. Rashid was like a storm cloud, waiting for the right moment to strike again. That night, Amir sat quietly with the folder of papers beside him. He looked at the old handwriting of his father and whispered, "Father, your land has become my trial. But I will not fail. I will honor your trust, and I will protect these people." In another part of the neighborhood, Rashid paced in anger. "This old man is clever," he muttered. "He wins their hearts with soft words. But hearts can be turned again. If he plays with respect, I will play with greed. Let us see whose game lasts longer." The battle was not finished. It had only changed shape. What began as a fight over $10,000 was now a struggle between truth and deception, respect and greed. And Amir, the poor veteran who once feared losing his home, now stood at the center of a storm that would decide the future of the entire neighborhood. The days that followed Amir's decision to form a council brought peace to most of the neighborhood. Families felt secure, shopkeepers trusted that their businesses would not be taken away, and children played without fear of losing their homes. Amir had turned doubt into unity. But Rashid's pride was still wounded. He had lost the respect of the people, and every smile given to Amir felt like an insult to him. In his heart, he told himself, "If I cannot rule by respect, then I will rule by greed." One morning, new gossip spread like wildfire. Rashid is offering to buy shops and houses at high prices. He says Amir will not last long, so better to sell now. Some families, tempted by money, began to wonder if they should trust Amir or take the quick offers. When Amir heard this, he sat in silence for a long time. He knew Rashid's game. It was not about land, it was about breaking trust again. If people sold out of fear, Rashid would regain control. That evening, the council gathered in Amir's house. Sophia, Bilal, and several shopkeepers sat in a circle, waiting for his words. Amir looked at each of them and spoke slowly. "My friends, Rashid has money, but we have something greater: faith in one another. If we sell our homes and shops, we will lose more than land. We will lose community. But if we stay together, no amount of money can buy us." The council agreed. They decided to hold a public meeting where Amir could speak directly to everyone, clearing doubts once and for all. The next day, the square was full again. Rashid stood on one side with his men, confident and smiling, while Amir stood calmly before the people. Amir raised his hand, and silence fell. "My brothers and sisters," he began, "you have lived here for many years. You built your homes with sweat, you raised your children here, you share joys and sorrows together. This neighborhood is not just land, it is family. Rashid offers you money, but money will vanish. Family will remain." The crowd listened quietly, their faces thoughtful. Amir continued, "When I was young, I fought battles for this country. I did not fight for myself. I fought so that families like yours could live in peace. Today, I ask for nothing. I only ask you not to let fear or greed take away what is yours. This land was given to me as trust, and I return that trust to you. As long as I live, no one will throw you out, no one will take your roof." His voice grew firm, filled with emotion. "But remember this, respect and unity are stronger than gold. If you stay united, Rashid cannot win. If you divide, he does not need to fight, he will simply collect what you throw away." A soft cheer rose from the crowd. One shopkeeper shouted, "We stand with Uncle Amir." Others followed, clapping and nodding. The fear that Rashid had planted was breaking once again. Rashid stepped forward, trying to speak over the noise. "Do not be fooled. I can give you wealth, I can make you richer than this old man ever will." But his words were drowned by the people's voices. "We don't want your wealth. We want peace. We want unity." For the first time, Rashid felt powerless. His offers of money no longer had value. The respect he once demanded had shifted completely to Amir. He left the square with his men, defeated not by papers, but by the strength of community. That night, Amir sat on his porch as usual, the stars shining above. Sophia came with bread, and children gathered around his chair, listening to his gentle stories. The neighborhood was alive with laughter and trust once more. Bilal, the young clerk, approached him and said with admiration, "Uncle, you could have used your land to make yourself rich, but you used it to make us strong. You didn't just win your home, you won our hearts." Amir smiled, his eyes soft. "Riches are not in money, child. Riches are in respect, in the love of people. I was once a poor veteran, but today I feel wealthier than any king." The children clapped at his words, and the neighbors nodded with pride. Amir had turned what seemed like a burden into a blessing. The man who once feared losing his small house now stood as the respected guardian of an entire neighborhood. He had not only owned the land, he had owned their trust. And so, the story of Amir spread beyond the town, told in tea houses and markets. They demanded $10,000 from a poor veteran, but minutes later, he owned half their neighborhood. And instead of using it for himself, he gave it back to the people. For Amir, that was the greatest victory of all.